UMPC, external optical drive, and installation media, which may or may not work. These were the perfect ingredients chosen to create the perfect little UMPC, but Professor Kleinberg added an extra ingredient into the concoction. Windows 10. Yep. Sorry, had to relive my childhood a little bit there. But anyways, welcome to July's video. This video is being made as requested by one of my lovely subscribers named, I think your name was, okay, never mind. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I just looked at your name. I just looked your name up just a second ago. Let me get your name. I'll be right back. Okay, just looked it up. I'll put your name on screen. Adues. I'll put the comment on screen now. But anyways, per your request, I am honoring your request, and we're going to attempt to install a tent. Get it? You know me, I like my bad puns. I'm a very punny person. We're going to attempt a Windows 10 installation on the Samsung Q1 UMPC. Please note, this is not my Samsung Q1 Ultra UMPC that I demonstrated in a previous video. This is the regular Samsung Q1 UMPC. And yes, I will be selling this UMPC after this video is made because since it's incapable of running Windows Vista or 7 with Aero, and it is most likely incapable of running anything higher than Windows 7 due to the Pentium M in there. But that's what we're gonna, not really worth keeping this thing. I mean, I like my Q1 Ultra better, to be honest, but hey, if any of you want to take this off my hands, I've got this, the case, and I'll throw in some extra goodies, an extra battery for you. Anyways, let's get on with the video. So let's start by taking a look at the UMPC and see what exactly we're going to be dealing with here. So let me just get a keyboard and mouse, get things set up here. I have everything set up and ready to rock and roll to get this to get an operating system installed on here. I did put an SSD in this thing. I upgraded the original 40 gigabyte 1.8 inch ZIF mechanical drive to a much better King spec 64 gigabyte SSD, ZIF SSD. Now here's the dilemma. Because this computer, or UMPC for that matter, while we get things set up here, I'll explain it. This UMPC has a Pentium M CPU. To my knowledge, the Pentium M does not support PAE or any of the NX or SSE2, or it may support some of those features, but not all of the features that are required to run Windows 8 or Windows 10. So adus or adus, I apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation of your channel. I appreciate the support, but I'll be honest, I'm honoring your request anyways, but I think I know what's going to happen. It's going to boot off the Windows 10 disk in BSOD, claiming that the processor is not supported because it doesn't support PAE, NX, or SSE2. Now, I could be wrong, and there actually was a video that suggested that some Pentium M's may support what's required to run Windows 8 and higher versions of Windows, because in that video, if any of you watch Colin, this does not compute. He attempted to install Windows 10 on a Pentium or a Celeron-based, a Pentium 2-based Celeron CPU in an older ThinkPad. Now, obviously, a Pentium 2 would never even support PAE. Probably didn't even exist when the Pentium 2 was current. But he did try to install it on another ThinkPad that had a Celeron M, which is Pentium M, which is also based on the same Pentium 3 architecture that the Pentium M is based off of. And the setup BSOD'd, claiming that the processor did not support PAE. And I did some more research on that because he demonstrated to the internet that this was a known bug with that generation of CPUs. I believe it was the Banius code. It was the code name for those CPUs. Now, I'm not sure if this UMPC has a Banius or Dothan CPU-based Pentium M. It might be a Dothan, and the only reason I say that is because this UMPC was manufactured in 2007. Therefore, that was towards the end of the Pentium M's life cycle. The Pentium M, I believe, was discontinued in 2008 in favor of Atom and the Centrino and Core 2 technology. So the Pentium M lasted from 2003 to 2008, so a total of 5 years. But we're going to see what happens. I installed the SSD, and I had a bit of a hard time getting the power switch assembly back assembled, but I finally got the thing reassembled. So yep, you and me together, we're going to see. We're going to try Windows 10 first, and if what I think is going to happen happens, then we'll be installing Windows 7 on it. I do have a license for Windows 7 Starter Edition, and I chose Windows 7 Starter because this computer does not meet the Aero requirements for Windows Vista or Windows 7, so it really makes no sense to install an Aero-based version of Windows Vista or 7 on this computer. So let's go ahead and get on with the video. And Lila is in the background. You can kind of see her at the top of the viewfinder there. Anyways, let's get this party started. Enough chit-chat. So we're going to power this thing up, and we're going to press, oops. Guess what I did wrong? Yeah, I forgot. I went into AV Station Now, which is actually a whatchamacallit. It's kind of like Dell Media Direct or something like that. It's a separate partition on the drive. The only problem is, since I've replaced the original drive, it's not going to be able to boot to that because there's no operating system on this drive at all. All right. So let's zoom in. We'll take a look at our specs first. And then we'll see if we can get Windows 10 on here. Let me just make sure the keyboard's working. Oh, because I don't have it powered on. Now it should work. Okay, well, maybe probably have to reboot or something. Probably have to reboot for this to take effect. But basically, yeah, I have to use the arrow keys or the directional keys up here. But as you can see, we've got a Pentium M, 1 GHz Pentium M, gigabyte of RAM, and a 64 gig SSD. Basically, this is like the bare minimum that you need to even run Windows 10. So it's highly likely. Let me just make sure that this keyboard is actually going to work. So, because if I need to grab a wired keyboard, I'd rather do it now than have to wait. So, let's see. Let me reboot and see if I can use the keyboard now. Oh, okay, yeah, and I can hear the disk spinning up, so it's definitely trying to read from my external optical drive. We still have no keyboard. Just unplug the receiver and plug it into another port here. We still have no keyboard. We kind of need a keyboard because we can't install Windows without typing. So let me grab... Or the other thing I can do is, I'm just afraid it may not like this USB hub. This could be a problem. Alright, let me pause here and figure this out. 1 second. Alright, well, unfortunately my USB hub is not going to work because it does not have it's a USB 3.0 hub, and this only has USB 2.0 ports. Therefore, it cannot provide enough power to power the keyboard. So we're going to have to make do with what we have. So we're just going to have to swap between the keyboard and mouse. So we'll set the date and time. The time is correct, but the date was not correct, so we'll fix that. Go to our boot device priority, make sure we're set to boot off the DVD first. Okay, we'll save our changes to CMOS, and let's see if we can boot off of this Windows 10 disk. My guess is probably not because... like I said, this is a Pentium M, and it probably does not support PAE, NX, or SSE2, or one or more of those instructions. But let's see if we get a BSOD. I'm interested to see, because here's the thing. First of all, I had to go through my software collection to find a 32-bit Windows 10 disk, and the one I happens to contain Windows 10 version 1909. I do know that on older hardware, I had problems running later versions of Windows 10 later than, I believe it was 1809, I think, and later. I had problems running them on older, like Intel Core Solo, Core Duo machines, and when I did some troubleshooting, it all came down to Microsoft changed something with the boot in the bootloader that didn't play nice with those older CPUs. Because when I put in a Windows 10 1607 disk, which I no longer have, it booted no problem. So we're going to see, but you and I together, we're going to see if you can get Windows, and maybe if I can get Windows 10 on here, maybe I'll just sell this with Windows 10. I mean, hell, I don't know. I mean, maybe. It depends. I may just sell it with Windows 10 if we can even get Windows 10 on here. But most likely, I'm probably going to be putting Windows 7 on here. But we'll see. I mean, let's see what happens. If we get the spinning dots at the bottom, that's promising. But, you know, yep. And this is exactly what I was expecting because the system does not support PAE. Right there, it's telling us that the system this CPU does not support PAE. So, yep, that's exactly what I was expecting because, yep. The Pentium M, like I said, I do not believe the Pentium M supports PAE, and this is saying that this CPU does not support PAE. So unfortunately, you can't go past Windows 8 or past Windows 7 on this computer, hence why I'm selling it. Now, I do realize that I could download a tool to burn to my ISO image, because there is a tool that will allow you to bypass the PAE check. However, it rarely works, unfortunately. It rarely works, and oftentimes, even if you do successfully remove the PAE check, it will still fail. It will blue screen with a different error saying, like, you know, inaccessible boot volume or something like that. And as you saw with this does not compute, I'll put a link to Colin's video up in the cards. But basically, yeah, you really do need PAE support to run any version of Windows higher than Windows 7. So for that reason, we will be installing Windows 7 on here instead. So, I already forgot your name again. But yes, there is your answer. This system does not unfortunately cannot boot from any. This system cannot run any version of Windows higher than Windows 7. So, and we're not able to boot off the Windows 7 disk either. Incorrect partition table. Oh, jeez. All right, time to do some troubleshooting off camera. I guess that's what I get for using unofficial installation media, but no worries. I have a real legitimate copy of Windows 7 Starter Edition. Granted, this does not include Service Pack 1, but who the hell cares? Because, like I said, I'm just going to be installing Windows, the drivers, Service Pack 1, and then I'm selling this thing. Because if it's, like I said, if it's incapable of running any version of Windows past Windows 7, I wouldn't say it's junk, but it's not something I'd want to. It's not something I want to keep. And we're still saying the partition table is not correct. It must be correct to boot. Oh my gosh, the disk is not bootable. Okay, let me play around with this and see what's going on. Because it's not able to boot off this disk for some reason. It's saying it's not bootable. So, alright, so it was not able to boot from a Windows 7 disk. It kept saying the disk was not bootable. So let's try booting off of a CD instead. I've got a Windows XP disk here. Let's see if we can boot it. Let's see if we can do Windows XP. I was going to put Media Center Edition on here, but unfortunately, the Intel GMA is not adequate enough to run Media Center, so we're just going to go with XP Professional. And now the drive's not even spinning up. Or the disk is not spinning. Oh! Wait a minute, it wasn't spinning up and now all of a sudden, okay. So yeah, maybe it was a problem with booting from a dual layer disk. It could be that this BIOS does not support booting from dual layer disks. And unfortunately, I don't believe Samsung, that Samsung ever had, I don't believe that Samsung still has the drivers for this product on their website. So yeah, I guess we're going to be installing Windows XP on this thing. But that is, well, no, it couldn't have been the dual layer DVD because that's weird that it wasn't able to boot off of a Windows 7 disk. Sorry about that. I had to get my cat off the table because she was about to eject the DVD drive. So anyways, so yeah, I guess Windows XP it is then. So, all right, well, we'll need the keyboard for, actually we can use the keyboard for the entire for the entire setup actually, because the keyboard will allow us to because you can use the keyboard to get through setup. So yeah. And yes, I will be getting a new camera soon. This camera will not focus on anything, and I'm not sure why. I've cleaned the lens like 10 times and it will not focus. So I may just have to get a new camera. After all, this camera is almost 10 years old, so. Alright, there we go. Welcome to setup. So let's hit enter. Microsoft Windows XP Professional, Service Pack 3, F8. Install in the unpartitioned space, and we'll do format with NTFS quick because because this is obviously just a new installation and we're really not doing much. Yeah, and to be honest, I really think that for a Pentium M, Windows XP is probably the best choice of an operating system. I would have installed Tablet PC Edition, but the problem is this computer does not have unfortunately, not this computer. What am I saying? I don't have any installation media. Well, I have installation media for Tablet PC Edition, but I do not have any product keys to activate it. And unlike Windows XP Professional, where there were corporate copies that you didn't have to activate, Windows XP Tablet PC Edition was not available through Windows XP Tablet PC Edition, I believe, was available through volume licensing, but did require product activation. And unfortunately, I just don't have any product keys for Tablet PC Edition. So for this, for this installation, we're going to have to install Windows XP Professional on here and see what we get. Now this does include it includes all the service packs. So what I'll probably do is install this copy of XP Pro Service Pack 3, get Snappy Driver Installer on here, and we'll see if we can get all the drivers. Because in essence, I would like to get the drivers on here and be able to use this as a tablet, because you really need the touchscreen driver, because it doesn't. Like I said, this computer does not have a mouse built into it, so it is imperative that the touchscreen works. So yeah, we'll go ahead and speed this up, and we'll come back when it's done. Alright, so we are now in the GUI portion of Windows XP setup. Honestly, you guys have probably seen this 10 million times on YouTube. In all honesty, XP is probably the most. Actually, I'm curious, does the touchscreen work? No, we don't have the proper drivers, so I didn't think so, because Windows XP, this system's a lot newer than Windows XP, so it doesn't surprise me that it doesn't have the touchscreen drivers. So that is something we'll have to hunt down with Snappy Driver Installer, of course. But yeah, I'll get my SDIO flash drive, I'll get Snappy Driver Installer on here, we'll get the Ethernet driver on here, and we'll download drivers for Windows XP for this computer and see what we find. The only problem is I probably should have taken a picture of what it had in Vista before I did this, because honestly, I was planning to install Windows 7, but for whatever reason, it would not boot off of any Windows 7 disk I had. Even official Windows 7 installation media, it would not boot. It just claimed it just said the parameter was incorrect. So I don't know why that is. I mean, maybe this. I don't know if this has some BIOS incompatibility, but it ran Vista okay. So I'm not exactly sure why that was, because I tried a Vista disk off camera and the Vista disk booted fine. But since this can't run Windows Vista with Aero, it really makes no sense to put Vista on here. Therefore, I decided to put good old-fashioned Windows XP on here. Alright, so we're going through the first phase of setup here. I'll go ahead and just cut this part out, probably, because it's just going to be me, or I'll speed it up, because it's probably, you guys have probably seen Windows XP installations 10 million times on YouTube, so I won't bore you. One thing I am interested to see is if it gets the Ethernet driver, because that will save me time. Because if it does get the Ethernet driver, then I can plug this into my router, into my modem, and I can download I can get MyPal and Snappy Driver installer on here, and then once I have those on here, then I'll be able to download the rest of the drivers, hopefully, using SDIO. For those who don't know, Snappy Driver Installer is a very powerful, it's one of the very few legitimate driver updater programs out there. It can install missing drivers and it can update existing drivers. It's free, it's open source, and it's legitimate. Unlike programs like Driver Detective, which I'll admit, even as a kid back in 2007, I downloaded that onto my Vista computer because I had a driver I couldn't find anywhere. And I downloaded Driver Detective, and then, you know, AVG is like, oh, warning, this is malware, and I'm like, oh, crap. So I ended up doing a system restore to get rid of Driver Detective because I just didn't want to, because apparently back then the removal process was a major pain, and it was just, but thankfully it didn't affect system restore, so I just did system restore and just removed it that way. But anyways, yeah, so let's see what Windows detects as far as drivers. So I really wish I could put XP Tablet PC Edition on here, but because I don't have any installation media for Tablet PC Edition, this will have to do. Although, you know what I just thought of? I actually may be able to put Tablet PC Edition on here. I did not think of this because my Samsung Q1 Ultra, I have the original recovery discs for it, and it contains XP Tablet PC Edition. Now, the drivers are on a separate disk, and the OS disk simply contains just Windows. Okay, let's breeze through this. Okay, regional and language. So English, type your name, Ben Kleinberg, and the company I'm starting is called King's Computers, so we'll register it to King's Computers. Oops. Alright, product key time. Let me put the product key in, I'll come right back. Alright, product key's in. Yes, let's call this computer King's Frick, I don't even know how to read gibberish. Anyways, we'll give this computer a name. We'll call this SAMQ1-UMPC. And the administrator password, I mean, what the heck, I'll set an admin password, and if the new owner of this computer wants to reset it, that's their problem. Okay, the date and time are correct. We're going to set this to Eastern Time. And yes, like I said, you can go through these prompts using the keyboard. Let's see your Windows 11 PC do that. Alright, moment of truth. Will it detect the network driver? This is a big moment, because if it asks me what kind of network I have, then that means it found the Ethernet driver, but if it doesn't, then that means we're going to be installing it ourselves. And it didn't, because that network identification wizard would have popped up by now, so that means it did not get the Ethernet driver. I'm not surprised, because, you know, this Ethernet card is probably much newer than Windows XP, even with all the service packs. So, yep, looks like we're running down a driver, or, well, I should say, if I really wanted to quote the Tom Petty song, hunting down a driver. Anyways, I'll pause the video here, and I'll come back probably when we get to the OOBE. Alright, well that didn't take too long. That only took about 20 minutes to install XP for it to finish the GUI portion of setup. But I'm not surprised because, you know, this is an SSD, and look how quick that boot was. That was instant. That was instant. I mean, that's amazing. Okay, no touchscreen driver. That's to be expected. Okay, I can't click the OK button. Can't even tab over to it. Alright, well, no worries. We can plug in... Actually, no, don't unplug the external drive. No, don't do that. Let me plug in my external mouse. Wait for it to load the driver, and once the driver's loaded, then we'll click the OK button. Well, can I hit enter here? No joypad? Seriously? Alright, well, I guess we gotta reboot. Time to reboot. I can't even click OK there. Okay. Well, the good thing about Windows XP, compared to later versions of Windows, is that unlike later versions of Windows, XP will let you continue setup from where it left off without you having to start the setup all over again. So let's try this. We're going to have to reboot. We're going to let it boot back into the out-of-box experience, and hopefully we can actually click OK this time. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this too. Yeah, if you skip the out-of-box experience, yeah, I forgot about that. If you shut down during OOBE, XP will just boot you into a desktop. It'll boot you into the built-in administrator account. That's what happens. Yeah, see, Windows Vista and later, you'll get an error upon reboot saying, hey, you rebooted the computer and Windows setup can't proceed. You got to start the whole installation over again. So that's one thing I do like better. That's one thing I wish Microsoft would bring back to Windows, is the ability to recover from stuff like this. So, all right, applying computer settings. Are we going to get to a desktop? Place your bets. What do you think? There is hard drive activity, so as long as there's disk activity, we'll see. But yeah, this may... I don't know why I couldn't just click OK on that dialog box. I didn't even have keyboard input, but... Oh, it wants the password. Well, the good news is, can we type? Oh, no, we can't because I don't have the keyboard plugged in. That would be why. Let me plug in the keyboard. See if we can type now. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my password. We'll log in. And then I'm probably going to remove the password, because if I'm going to be selling this on eBay, yeah, I don't want to have my personal, the password I usually use on this. So, but at least I know what the password is. So, okay, logging in. Let's see what happens, if anything. Obviously, it looks horrendous because we don't have any drivers loaded yet, but that is what Snappy Driver Installer is for, although I'm going to have to hunt down the Ethernet driver because, yeah, we don't have, because it didn't even pick that up, so I do have to hunt down an Ethernet driver, but in essence, we at least got Windows XP installed, so that's phase one. I think I'm gonna, well, first let's go to the system properties actually, and we'll just make sure everything's accounted for. We'll just go into system properties and whatnot. But there you have it, Windows XP. No touchscreen driver, but that's because we, you know, well, I was sort of expecting that because again, this is XP after all. It can't even display everything on the, I can't tab over to stuff? Oh. Okay, arrow keys? Oh, it's the arrow keys. I keep thinking it's tab. Is there a right-click key on this? Oh, I don't believe there is. Crap. So, yeah, we don't have... Oh, wait. Function. It's function print screen is right-click, is the right-click key. So there we go. Yeah, it does not... Look at that. That's why Windows 10 wouldn't load. I keep forgetting your username. I'm sorry. I'm not good with stuff like that. Grr. Anyways, Windows XP Professional, Service Pack 3, registered to me, Pentium M, but we don't have the physical address extension label down there, which means this CPU is probably one of those Pentium M's. Either it does not support PAE outright, or it has PAE support, but it's one of those CPUs that suffers from that bug where it will not correctly it will incorrectly report that it does not have PAE support. Anyways, I think that's a good stopping point for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, I'll probably do the drivers off camera because, you know, who wants to see me install drivers? But if you do, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know if you guys enjoy me, you know, playing around with drivers and whatnot. So, anyways, that's gonna do it for tonight. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, of course. And, well, this will probably be going up over the weekend. Anyways, nonetheless, take care. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. They help out a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys not too far in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.